There is something life rarely teaches us until it hurts. When you surrender to love, not every person you meet is meant to stay. And yet we cling. We tell ourselves that letting go is defeat, that releasing someone means we failed. But the truth is quieter and braver. Letting go is not losing. It is the highest act of self-respect. This message is for the part of you that is still holding on to someone who never chose you with the same devotion you chose them. Today we are going to talk about that bond, not with shallow advice, not with slogans, but through the wisdom of one of the deepest minds to ever explore the human soul, Carl Jung. Because Jung's work does not only soothe the mind, it illuminates the spirit. Relationships do not always end because of what happened. So often they end because of what never existed: respect, reciprocity, empathy. And when you face someone who never truly deserved you, it is not how much you loved, how much you gave, or how long you waited that matters. Real courage is not continuing to fight for someone who never fought for you. Real courage is leaving with dignity, with a calm heart and a clear conscience. Because the moment you let go, you stop carrying what was never yours to carry, and you begin to reclaim what was always yours, your value. Letting go is not lack of love. It is the most conscious act of self-love. Not a soft, sentimental kind of love, but the kind that is born when you finally face your pain and understand why you kept insisting on staying somewhere you were never truly welcomed. Jung said, "What you deny controls you. What you accept transforms you." In this case, letting go means accepting one simple truth: you gave more than you received. And you deserve an emotional life built on reality, not fantasy, not hope, not crumbs. You did not come here by accident. You are here because your soul needs to understand something. Letting go is not losing. It is recovering. It is making space. It is surrendering, not to sadness, but to a deeper truth. Because there comes a moment when love is no longer enough, when that love begins to hurt you, when it begins to dim you, when it leaves you feeling smaller, less worthy, less alive. The question is no longer, should I let go? The real question becomes, why are you still carrying someone who refuses to see you? This message will not transform you because it gives easy answers. It will transform you because it will touch the deepest places in you. We are going to go where most people are afraid to go. Into the part of you that still loves with fear, the part that believes letting go means being alone, the part that equates suffering with loyalty. But the most unbearable loneliness is not physical solitude. The most unbearable loneliness is being with someone who does not value you, while ignoring the voice inside you that is screaming, "Enough." Jung did not write to explain love. He wrote to help you understand why you love the way you do. He understood that every relationship is a mirror, and the person who does not value you is reflecting something back to you: an unhealed wound, an unseen dependency, a mistaken belief about what you think you deserve. And if you are here, it means the time has come to stop worshiping the mirror and start breaking the illusion. Real growth does not happen when everything is fine. It happens when something breaks, and instead of covering it with distractions, you decide to explore it with consciousness. This path I am inviting you into is the path of understanding yourself, reflecting deeply, and becoming free. Because you were not born to live half alive. You were not born to chase anyone. You were born to find yourself. Have you ever wondered why it feels so hard to let go of someone who never truly chose you? Why does waiting feel safer than admitting you deserve better? The answer is in your subconscious, in your story, in the part of you that needs to be heard, not ignored. Most people do not carry a person, they carry a symbol of an unresolved need, an unconscious representation of abandonment, an echo of an old emotional cycle, a failed attempt to finally close something from the past. Jung called this projection. We project onto others what we cannot fully own in ourselves. And when that person does not respond the way we hoped, it does not just hurt, it collapses us. But it is not their fault. It is your psyche calling you to awaken. This will not be a list of quick tips. This will be a mirror. It will show you, gently, but without softening the truth, why you are still attached to someone who has emotionally already left. And more importantly, it will show you why the bravest act is not trying to repair what is broken, but saying, with dignity, I release you because I choose myself. We will talk about the shadow, that hidden corner inside every human being, and the light that appears when you finally decide to look at it without fear. The shadow is the part of you you usually avoid, but it has been walking beside you your entire life. And when you finally accept that the most painful thing was not their absence, but your own inner self-abandonment, something changes. Because no one has the power to destroy you unless you hand them that power with your own hands. We are going to rewrite the narrative. Not, it happened because they didn't value me, but it happened because I kept trying to hold up something that was sinking, and in doing so, I stopped valuing myself. That shift is revolutionary. It is the beginning of what Jung called the individuation process, the journey of turning back toward yourself to become who you were meant to be. You are about to understand something important. Letting someone go is not cowardice. It is an act of courage. It is choosing emotional maturity. It is looking directly at what hurts, facing it, and making decisions with dignity. Because staying where you are not loved is also a choice, and you deserve more than that. Not because of pride, but because of honor. In this video, we will guide you with authentic teachings, not words designed to impress you, but words designed to heal you. You will not find empty promises here. You will find tools, truth, and deep reflection. This channel does not exist to entertain you. It exists to help you rebuild your soul piece by piece. And if someone once told you that letting go is losing, today you will unlearn that. Letting go is releasing energy. It is closing a door without hatred. It is telling the universe, I am ready for what I truly deserve. That is an act of love. Remember, when someone does not deserve you, what is at risk is not your love, it is your peace. And if love keeps dragging you into pain, then it is not love. It is dependency. It is fear. It is an emotional drug disguised as loyalty. But the power to break that cycle is inside you. Jung taught that without consciousness there is no healing, and without pain there is no consciousness. But pain, when faced correctly, becomes strength, clarity, evolution. This content will not take your pain away. It will help you understand it. Today, you will meet a version of yourself. Not the version that keeps changing to avoid losing someone, but the version that places peace above any relationship that does not respect it. And when you do that, you will feel something almost unbelievable. Lightness, freedom, authenticity. Because when you stop feeding the attachment, you start recovering your energy. This is also why the shadow matters so much here. Your shadow is not only the dark part of you, it is the unowned part of you. The part that has been exiled, silenced, or rejected because you were afraid it would make you unlovable. Sometimes your shadow is your anger. Sometimes it is your standards. Sometimes it is your ability to walk away. And when you refuse to integrate that part, you end up living out the shadow through relationships. You tolerate what you should not tolerate, you stay where you should not stay, and you keep calling it love. But love is not self-betrayal. Love does not require you to shrink. Love does not demand that you disappear. Letting go, then, is not only about closing a chapter with another person. Letting go is also about opening a chapter with yourself. Because the deepest question is not whether they deserved you. The deepest question is, how willing are you to finally deserve yourself? This video is an invitation to a rebirth, to the moment when you stop focusing on the person who hurt you and start focusing on how to stop hurting yourself by insisting on staying where reciprocity does not exist. Because once you keep choosing a place where you are not chosen, no one can treat you worse than you treat yourself. By the end of this content, you will not be the same person, not because I promise miracles, but because what you will learn will be more than a lesson for your mind. It will be an awakening for your soul. You will learn to let go without hatred, to close cycles with wisdom, to walk forward with your head held high, not because it didn't hurt, but because you chose healing. This channel is for you, the one who loves deeply, but also deserves to be loved deeply. For you, the one who cried for someone who could not see your worth. For you, the one who is ready to let go, even while a part of you still wants to stay. This video will be your push, your sign, your support to cross to the other side of your story. Because letting go of someone who never deserved you is not only an external action, it is a deep and transforming process. It requires you to face your emptiness, your attachments, and the part of you that has believed for too long that love is sacrifice. Jung said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, in order to avoid facing their own soul." Holding on to someone who hurts you, who does not validate you, who never chose you with commitment, can be a form of escape. You stay there not because of your love for them, but because of your fear of looking inward. And when you know someone doesn't deserve you, you know it. But there is a part of you that keeps trying to justify them. It says, they have trauma. They don't know how to love. I can change them. Jung would say that this part of you is being guided by unconscious projection. You don't see them as they are. You see them as you want them to be. You project your hunger for love, your need to be chosen, your fear of abandonment onto them. And the more you cling, the more you lose yourself. Letting go is painful because you are not only letting go of a person, you are letting go of an illusion. And breaking an illusion creates a deep inner grief. Jung said, "Only what we truly are has the power to heal us," meaning, only when you stop chasing the version of them you created, you can begin to heal with reality. Because reality does not exist to punish you. Reality exists to free you. Now, let's go deeper and make this practical. Exercise 1. Take a piece of paper. Without filtering yourself, write down everything you gave in that relationship. Your time, your energy, your sacrifices, your patience, your silences. Then, next to it, write what you received. Do it with ruthless honesty. When you finish, look at the paper and ask yourself, why do I keep giving so much for so little? What part of me believes this is what I deserve? Do not judge your answers, just listen. Because awakening begins there. Many people stay because they are afraid of being alone. But Jung emphasized something most people miss. Loneliness is not simply the absence of people. It is the absence of being seen. So the key question is, in that relationship, did you feel seen, heard, understood, valued? If the answer is no, then you were already alone. You just hadn't recognized it yet. The real power of letting go is not measured by how long you can resist going back. It is measured by how deeply you decide to reclaim your life energy. Because every thought that returns to the person who hurt you is emotional energy you are not using to rebuild yourself. Jung taught, where your attention goes, your energy flows. So if your attention is still stuck on someone who never deserved you, you are living as a prisoner of a story that ended inside your soul a long time ago. One of the most common resistances is believing that letting go equals giving up. But surrendering to truth is not failure, it is evolution. Jung said, renunciation is not weakness, it is concentrated strength. You renounce what is not yours, not because you can't carry it, but because you refuse to betray yourself to maintain something that was never meant to be your fate. Exercise 2. Close your eyes for 2 minutes and imagine that person in front of you. Observe them. Tell them everything you never said. everything you swallowed. Then silently repeat, "Today I allow you to go. Not because I hate you, not because I don't love you, but because I choose myself." Repeat this every night for 1 week. Do not underestimate the symbolic power of emotional release. The subconscious responds to symbols. When someone doesn't deserve you, their presence often leaves behind anxiety, insecurity, and emptiness. And the biggest mistake is thinking, if you just endure a little longer, if you give a little more, things will change. But Jung warned, what you resist persists. The more you refuse to see their lack of value, the more that situation grows until it breaks you. Letting go is, at its core, an act of love toward your shadow. Because your shadow is the part of you that feels not enough, the part that believes if someone leaves, it means something is wrong with you. And that part needs to hear you say, "I will not abandon you again. I don't need to beg for love to be worthy. I don't need to perform to be chosen." Jung explained that integrating the shadow is the key to emotional freedom. Not destroying what hurts, but understanding why it hurts so much. Exercise 3. Stand in front of a mirror. For 2 minutes, look at yourself. Your eyes, your face, your emotions. Then say out loud, "I am no longer abandoning myself for anyone. I am enough." Say it every morning. The mirror reflects more than your body. It reflects the level of commitment you have to yourself. And it is a powerful tool for rebuilding your inner identity. Sometimes letting go does not mean you stop loving. It means you stop needing to possess. Jung said love is not two people looking at each other. It is two people looking in the same direction. But if you are looking toward healing, growth, and depth, while the other person is looking toward ego, control, or indifference, love turns into pain. The person who never deserved you never fully chose you. Maybe they desired you, used you, admired you on the surface. But to deserve someone is a deep act. It requires seeing, caring, respecting, sharing life's inner process. If that never existed, you are not leaving behind something sacred. You are leaving behind a part of yourself that stayed stuck in a story that was never written in real ink. Letting go is not forgetting. It is accepting. It is releasing the belief that the past could have been different. Jung spoke of the eternal return of the unconscious. Until you become conscious, you repeat the same stories. That is why the one who cannot let go repeats, and the one who repeats becomes exhausted, sick, emotionally undone. Exercise 4. Write a goodbye letter, not to send, only to release. Write everything you need to close, then burn it. Watch the fire transform the paper. You can transform your story the same way. Because the subconscious responds to symbols, and fire, across many traditions, represents purification. One of Jung's most striking teachings can be summarized like this: do not hold on to what moves away from you, so what is truly meant for you can finally come closer. It sounds simple, but it is profound. How many emotional opportunities have you blocked by clinging to someone who doesn't see you? How many parts of you are still waiting to be recognized by someone who is incapable of recognizing anything beyond their own needs? Letting go is choosing not to be broken again by the same hands. It is realizing that every time you return, you abandon yourself a little more. And you are no longer willing to lose yourself for someone who never truly found you. Every person who does not deserve you serves a symbolic function. They reveal the level of love you have for yourself. This is not punishment, it is reflection. And the moment you choose to let go with consciousness, the reflection changes. Your deserving level changes, and with it, your life changes. Jung wrote that encountering yourself is one of the most terrifying and most beautiful acts a human being can experience. And that encounter often happens right after a goodbye, right after you break, right after you can no longer pretend everything is fine. Exercise 5. Take a sheet of paper and draw a vertical line. On the left, write who you were before you met them. On the right, write who you are today. Do not focus on what you lost. Look at what you gained. Awareness, resilience, sensitivity, clarity. Because even the most painful relationship brings a gift, if you learn how to see it. Letting go is not a one-day action. It is a process, a slow rebirth. It is reminding yourself again and again that you do not need to be chosen by someone who cannot see you. It is the beginning of emotional maturity. It is the day you stop being the victim and decide to become the hero of your own inner story. And now that you've arrived here, I have an invitation for you. If this video resonates with you, leave this sentence in the comments. Today, I let go in order to return to myself. Let that be your declaration, your anchor, your first step toward a more conscious emotional life. Because letting go is not the end. It is the beginning of your real story. Chapter 2. Daniel's story. Daniel couldn't pinpoint the exact moment everything broke. There was no huge fight, no dramatic goodbye, just a silence that kept stretching, an interest that kept fading, and a love that dissolved through small daily surrenders. Daniel was being abandoned without being left, and that was what hurt the most. He used to look at her like she was a place he could always return to. But one day, without warning, she stopped being that place. She was still beside him, but she wasn't there. Her presence became a disguised absence. Her voice became automatic replies. Her eyes became the eyes of someone who no longer searched for him. He felt it for years, but he couldn't name it. For weeks, he clung to the idea that it was just a phase. If she changed, if he tried harder, if he became better, she would look at him the way she used to. So he tried everything. More gestures, more patience, more understanding. But nothing changed. Because love that leaves silently does not respond to desperate screams. One afternoon, she simply said, "I don't feel the same anymore." Not with anger, almost as if she was unloading something heavy. Daniel felt his body freeze. The air thickened. The walls of the home that had witnessed so many memories now felt like they were mocking his loneliness. He didn't know what to say. He just nodded. And he watched her put on her coat, close the door, and walk away with half of his world. The days that followed were filled with rage, denial, grief, and an uncontrollable hunger for her to return. But she didn't. And what hit Daniel the hardest wasn't her absence. It was the thought that maybe she had never truly been there. He had loved more, given more, imagined more. Maybe he had been clinging to a version of her that existed only in his mind. One night, after crying in silence, Daniel opened his laptop and typed into the search bar, "Why is it so hard to let go of someone who doesn't love me the same way?" Among the results, he saw a text about Jung and projection. Without knowing it, he began reading the beginning of his awakening. According to Jung, we often fall in love not with who someone really is, but with what we project onto them. What were we unconsciously looking for? To fill old emptiness, to close unhealed wounds, to finally complete a broken cycle. And then Daniel understood something that cracked his soul open. Maybe he wasn't in love with her. Maybe he was in love with what she represented. From that day on, Daniel began reading everything he could find about Jung, almost obsessively. He felt exposed, raw, but for the first time, understood. He realized his attachment wasn't pure love. It was the expression of a part of him that was starving to be seen, to be valued, to be chosen. But not by someone else, by himself. He remembered his mother, always distant, always busy. He remembered the childlike effort he made just to get her attention, just to be enough. He saw how he had confused love with effort since childhood, and how, as an adult, he kept repeating the same formula with every partner. Now he could finally see the pattern. He started therapy. At first, he didn't talk much. Then everything poured out. He cried for things he thought he had forgotten. He cried for the version of himself that always waited to be chosen. And slowly, he began to heal. Not from the woman, from himself. He was healing from everything he carried to earn love. One day, his therapist told him, "You're not letting her go. You're letting go of the childhood belief that you have to perform to be loved." Daniel went silent.
That sentence struck his mind like lightning, and in that moment he understood. Letting go wasn't about forgetting someone. It was about rewriting his emotional history. So he began rewriting. Every night he filled pages with letters he would never send. Not for her, for himself. For the broken version of him. For the teenager terrified of rejection. For the adult who learned to pretend he wasn't hurting. Every word became an embrace. Every page became an act of redemption. He began returning to places he once avoided. He sat on the bench in the park where he used to wait for her. But instead of imagining her returning, he imagined himself arriving there with dignity, calm, quiet, whole. It hurt, but it was clean pain, healing pain. He learned not to hate her, because he realized she had only activated what already existed inside him. She didn't destroy him, she showed him a mirror. And that mirror forced him to see, with merciless honesty, how many times he had abandoned himself to keep someone else. He started finding himself in small details. In coffee, he drank slowly, without rushing. In books, he underlined, not to understand her, but to understand himself. In silences that were no longer suffering, but rest. In songs that once cut him, but now sounded like an honorable goodbye. And then, one ordinary day, without planning it, he stopped thinking about her. It wasn't a decision, it was a sign of something bigger. He no longer needed her as a symbol of what he lacked, because he wasn't searching outside anymore. He was finally beginning to live inside himself. Jung said meeting yourself is both the most feared and the most liberating act. Daniel now understood that. What changed him wasn't her leaving. What changed him was his decision to stop leaving himself. Months passed. He hadn't fallen in love again yet, but he wasn't in a hurry. Because the most important thing had already happened. He had made peace with himself. And he knew, if the next love came, it would find him whole. He wouldn't offer pieces of himself. He wouldn't ask permission to be who he is. On a sunny afternoon, he ran into her in a bookstore. They greeted each other. They smiled. She looked at him strangely. "You've changed," she said. And Daniel replied, "I'm at peace." Not as a performance, not as revenge, but like someone who had finally come home. When he walked out of the bookstore, he didn't feel sadness. He felt gratitude. Because deep down he knew that goodbye wasn't the beginning of a new relationship. It was the beginning of a new life. And so Daniel walked away, without resentment, without nostalgia, without unfinished debts. He knew he was not the same person anymore,
because he finally understood a simple, profound truth. Letting go is not losing. Letting go is choosing yourself. Daniel's story is not only a personal narrative, it is a portrait of a process many of us live through without realizing it. The grief of a relationship that didn't become what you hoped can look like ordinary heartbreak. But through a therapeutic lens, it is often the most fertile moment for a deep awakening. Jung would describe this as a threshold of individuation, the moment life forces you to stop searching outside for what you can only build within. Everything Daniel went through was a symbolic death, the death of the self that waited to be saved, the death of the version of him that believed he had to sacrifice himself to earn love. Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But if you are still trapped in the image someone projects onto you, or the image you project onto them, you cannot return to yourself. This process is painful because it collapses your defenses. It forces you to look inward. It forces you to admit that the problem was not only the other person, but also the part of you that couldn't protect yourself. This moment of self-responsibility is not about blaming yourself. It is about reclaiming your power. Because when you understand your part, you stop repeating it in future relationships. That is why the therapist's words were so important. Daniel's deepest abandonment was not his partner leaving. It was Daniel leaving himself. In every choice he made to keep the relationship alive, he had to silence a piece of his own truth. He had to shrink. He had to surrender. He had to ignore his inner voice. And the part that needed healing was not the relationship. The part that needed rescuing was him. Even the figure of the woman changes in Daniel's mind. She is no longer an idealized fantasy, a lost destiny, a perfect love that could have been. She becomes an initiator, a symbolic messenger. As Jung wrote, the psyche pushes us to grow, even through pain. And it often does this by using people who appear as if they came only to hurt us, but in truth, they came to reveal our wound. Daniel understanding he didn't need to hate her was a sign of higher emotional consciousness, because hatred keeps the bond alive in the shadow. It feeds the addiction. Forgiveness is not excusing what happened. Forgiveness is releasing the energy that was trapped in waiting, guilt, and pain. And Daniel's final sentence, "I'm at peace," contains no pride. It contains maturity. It is the decision not to return to the past, not to beg, not to turn love into suffering again. It is opening his arms to a present where love is no longer a form of pain, but a form of expansion. Daniel's story teaches us this. Letting go of someone who doesn't deserve you is not the peak of your pain. It is the beginning of your transformation, because behind every goodbye there is an opportunity to choose yourself, to listen to yourself, to rebuild your world from the inside with real self-love and solid inner foundations. So ask yourself, what truly hurts you? Is it their absence? Or the way you forgot yourself just so they would stay? Maybe the hardest part is not letting them go. Maybe the hardest part is letting go of the version of you that cannot live without their approval. How long will you keep believing love must be sacrifice? How long will you place your emotional peace into someone else's hands? When you were born to live in emotional abundance, do you really believe you deserve only crumbs? Today, can you begin loving yourself the way you once dreamed someone else would love you? Can you give yourself that love without waiting for permission? Remember, what you went through was not a mistake. It was a lesson. The person who didn't deserve you did not steal your value. They only revealed how much you needed to remember it. Letting go is not failure. It is an act of courage. It is choosing yourself. It is saying, I was not born to chase someone who doesn't know how to stay. And if you made it this far, It means you are already waking up. You are questioning. You are feeling. You are opening. You are no longer the same person who started this video. Now there is a new question inside you. When I stop waiting for someone who never chose me with real love, what version of me will be born? And I want to invite you to write your declaration in the comments. Leave this sentence: "Today I let go with love, and I hold myself tightly." Let it be your permission. Let it be your witness. Let it be your cry of emotional freedom. Thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing yourself to feel. Thank you for being part of a community where healing is brave and being yourself is enough. And remember, you didn't come here to be deserved by someone else. You came here to deserve yourself. Life does not begin when someone loves you. Life begins when you stop abandoning yourself.